And it's lights out!
Welcome back to another episode of Drive Thru Penalty. I'm Sean, that's my father Craig, and holy what another week in the wild world of fantasy Formula One. Double DNF from Ferrari, Pierre Gasly out, Alonso's brakes catch on fire, he had to retire early. Kimi Antonelli driver of the day. I mean, what a week.
It was a great week. I didn't have Ferrari. I didn't have Gasly. I had Piastri the winner. I have moved up to third place.
And I have moved up from 25th to maybe 22nd. So we're making some progress there.
Yeah, we both moved up a couple.
Yeah, so not bad. It's baby steps.
So what a disaster from Ferrari. We have Charles being underweight at the end of the race due to his one pit stop strategy. And Lewis Hamilton with the skid wear. Like, you got to be kidding me.
Well, what I don't get is, Ferrari has been notorious the last few years for just getting things wrong. They've had a good car and good drivers, and and this thing where they were underweight, it's because of the tires had worn down a bit till they were coming in underweight. Well, this is exactly what happened to Russell at Mercedes last year, and it cost him a win. I don't know if you remember that, Sean, but
I do remember that. I had Russell that week.
How many times you have to see that before you go, hey, if we're going a one-stop strategy, like, well, what are we going to do here? Like, put a chocolate bar in your pocket or something, because it's a disaster. And if you are a Ferrari lover, and if you're riding Ferrari in the pool, it's probably tempting to drop Ferrari, but I don't think Ferrari can make those kind of mistakes week after week after week. So I don't know if it's a good time to move out of Ferrari.
Well, purely based on budget gains and budget loss, I think it's definitely worth dropping Ferrari from your team. It's an absolute no from me. We can't afford losing another 0.6 million this week. In my opinion, it's got to be McLaren. It has to be McLaren in your premium constructor seat. And we'll talk later about filling that second constructor option. Obviously, we're going to look at Haas. Williams is still an option. I mean, if Stroll keeps doing what he does, then maybe Aston Martin. But I don't know. That's if you're willing to ride the stroller coaster.
I'd be in first if it wasn't for Carlos Sainz. So I'm looking at, moving off of Williams. And I don't think that Aston Martin is such a bad pick, because Stroll's been in the points both times. Alonso he didn't start and he hit a wall. And there is no way in hell that Fernando Alonso is going to miss the first three races. So I'm a little heads up on Aston Martin this weekend.
Yeah, me too. And again, for me, it really comes down to building budget again, because there are guys already with who got lucky week 1 and 2 who have already exceeded the 100 million budget mark and probably have around 103 to 105 million. I'm still trying to climb my way back to 100M right now. So for me, this week is all about building budget. I'm putting points aside because there is a lot of weeks to come. I need to catch up.
I got so much budget, I'm tipping.
Must be nice.
And, Kimi Antonelli, winning driver of the day. Good for him. Good for the young rookie. But did he deserve it? I mean, I don't know. You have Ollie Behrman finishing ahead of him. Started, I think, 14th on the grid. It could have easily been him. It could have been Piastri for winning the race. If you have him on your team, amazing. But to lose out on these extra points, it's kind of, I don't know.
So Kimi Antonelli is one of the ones that I'm thinking of moving off of Sainz, going Kimi Antonelli. And he's a little bit more money, but like I said, I have a little extra money to play with. So I've been overly impressed with what he's been able to do. I mean, he looks like he's been there for years, and he's driving that car almost as well as Russell is. So, he's a top 5 guy in my head.
Yeah, keep an eye out for him. We'll see what he does this week in Japan.
So, which takes us to the better team, I think, so far this year, and that's McLaren. And I've been on Piastri since the beginning, and just because I didn't have the money to go the other route. But if you haven't got McLaren as one of your constructors, you better be making your points up somewhere else. You better have, I don't know, because the two drivers have won both races.
Yep.
So the car is the number one constructor. Their drivers are the number one drivers. If you miss that one, it's a bit of a hole. But
if I could go triple McLaren right now, I would. Obviously, I can't afford it. Nobody can. But if you don't have McLaren on your team, I think you're missing out. And the news everybody's been talking about this week, of course, Yuki Tsunoda.
Didn't one of us call that on the last podcast?
Yeah, I think Craig might have mentioned it. You know, you have Yuki breathing down Liam's neck, and it happened. It only took 2 races. I've seen some pretty good memes out there. Liam Lawson only had the demo version of Formula One. Tough break.
Yeah, they're cruel.
They're cruel. The internet's cruel. Would kind of suck if you're on Instagram as Liam Lawson, but it happens. We know it's a cutthroat sport. What are you gonna do? The car wasn't designed for him. Is it gonna be better for Yuki? Only time will tell. What do you think?
I wouldn't go rushing out to put him on my team. I think that car is designed for Max Verstappen, and Max Verstappen has a totally different driving style than, I mean, Perez was close, right? And he hasn't got a job right now. Lawson wasn't ready for that. I feel sorry for Lawson actually a bit. Tsunoda, let's just say Max goes out and wins a race. Let's say he wins in Japan. Especially if it rains, he's very capable. Let's say Max Verstappen wins in Japan. Tsunoda, even though it's in Japan, and I like the home guy many times, I can't imagine a 1-2 finish this year for Red Bull because he's going to struggle with that car a bit too, in my opinion.
I think it was Alex Albon that explained it best. If there's any video gamers out there, it's like the car settings is like having your controller set to maximum sensitivity. The slightest touch, the car wants to move. And that leaves for error. I mean, you can be one of the most skilled drivers, but when you're not used to the setup, It's going to be tough to drive. So we'll see what Yuki does this week, but I'm very excited. So at the end of the video, I'm going to walk you through, just like I did the other 2 weeks, some great team options for budget building, some great team options for scoring points, and some of the tools that could be very useful for you making your team picks this week. But in the meantime, for my favorite segment, we are going to jump into a little history lesson with Craig.
Up till now, I've been doing history lessons on Grand Prix I've attended. We're going to go back in time a little bit more, and I can honestly say I did not attend these. But I wanted to talk about the beginning of the Canadian Grand Prix. In 1960, in Bowmanville, Mossport Park, they laid shovel to ground in 1960. In 1961, there was a Formula One car race there. It wasn't sanctioned by Formula One or the manufacturers, but they did have a race there in 1961, and I think mostly because it was a brand new track at a country if they could. But in 1967 in Canada, for those that can remember, 1967 was the 100th anniversary of Canada. And there was birthday celebrations from the West Coast to the East Coast. There were songs on the charts that were about Canada's birthday. There was Expo 67, which I attended with my parents. Formula One looked at this opportunity to have they sanctioned a Formula One race at Mossport. In 1967, some of the names that were in that race. How about Bruce McLaren? Now, we just talked about McLaren. That's the Bruce McLaren from New Zealand that started that whole team and still have the exotic cars today and everything. And he passed away a little while ago. But Jim Clark, who goes down as one of the top all-time drivers. Jackie Stewart was there. Graham Hill was there. Denny Hulme was there. Jack Brabham, who ran his own cars, won the first official Grand Prix in Canada in 1967. 1968, it moved to Mount Tremblant. They kind of went back and forth, and Mossport ended up taking it right until 1977. Labatt's got on the scene. They had been a big sponsor, and they were starting to get a little concerned about having this race at Mossport because Mossport really couldn't accommodate because of its size and where it is. They couldn't really accommodate a world-class event. There was also concern that Mossport wasn't as safe. It was very hilly, and at high speed, there were some issues, and one driver went over the guardrail and another one crunched the guardrail. Mossport response team was very slow getting to them, so they kind of frowned upon it. And what Labatt chose to do and they got some very big names like Bassett and stuff involved, and they wanted to move it to Toronto, and they wanted to have it run through Exhibition Stadium, and through Exhibition Stadium they have the utmost pit lane. It would have been perfect. And then much like the Indy today, they run it down, it was going to run down Lakeshore Avenue. And this thing had everybody behind it, and then they took it to the city council, and the city council voted against it by 2 votes. It was very, very close to coming into fruition. And at that point, that's when it moved on to Montreal, to the Gilles Villeneuve circuit.
Which we've both been to. And it's a great track, but man.
And Villeneuve won the first race there.
Yeah, how cool is that?
Because that was an old property that was part of Expo 67 that they converted and turned it into a racetrack. So it's like perfect timing for Villeneuve.
But imagine they had it here in Toronto, how great that would be.
Awesome. I mean, I've been to the Indy here. Formula One here would just be spectacular. And you probably don't remember much about Exhibition Stadium. There was stock car racing there in the 50s, but it would have been perfect there for the pits. Nice try, Labatt's.
Thanks for another history lesson, Craig.
Welcome back to the driver selection segment of the video. Today I'm going to walk you through my team, changes I plan on making, chips to potentially consider using this weekend here in Suzuka, and ultimately how to build that budget and make that money back. So this is my team as it stands right now. It looks pretty good on paper, but we know the double DNF from Ferrari definitely didn't help. And Fernando Alonso having to retire early due to his brakes catching on fire also didn't help. So we're going to definitely want to make a couple changes. We have 2 free transfers here to work with at the top, as you can see. We can take additional transfers, but it's going to cost us a -10 every time we do that. And I don't think that's something we can afford this early in the year. So first things first, let's get Ferrari out of there. They are a guarantee to lose money this week. Based on the way the app's algorithm works, it's now a 3-race average. And again, they're guaranteed to lose money. So let's get rid of them. Fernando Alonso is another driver we probably want to get out of here, who is, again, most likely expected to lose us money. And we're trying to have all of our drivers in the green, or in this case, the blue. So Craig mentioned earlier, McLaren's a must-have. I feel the same way. We're going to stick them in here and see what we have left. We have $5.3 million to work with. That's not a lot of money. Most likely, the only other person that we can afford is Isaac Hadjar. Now, if anybody's watched anything already from the weekend, you probably would have seen what happened to Isaac. He has already taken out the front wing of the RB just in an RB promo. It was a tight U-turn that the drivers were doing, and he managed to hit the curb, which is unfortunate. So is that a little foreshadowing of what's going to happen this weekend, what to expect? Maybe. I don't think I'm going to roll the dice with these guys right here. And I'm most likely going to be doing the wild card reset. That allows me to rebuild my team with still within the budget that I have, and it's around 98 million. To be exact, it is 97.6 million. So first things first, let's get the constructors in there that we know are a must, and that's McLaren. And the only other constructor that we can afford that is pretty much guaranteed to make money is Haas. And that's what we're going for this week is value. I'm taking value over points. I don't think this is going to be a bad team in terms of scoring points, but again, we are really just focused on making that money. So later down the road, we can afford 2 premium constructors, a great ×2 premium driver, and potentially even a second premium driver. So that's what we're working towards, but we have to start somewhere. So we're going to go McLaren Haas. We're going to put in Oscar Piastri as our 2x driver, just because I don't think we can afford Lando Norris this week. He is less likely to increase in value, as I think he has to score 21 points or more in order for that to happen. But that's a gamble we're probably going to have to take. So moving into the other 4 driver slots, we are going to probably stack up on Haas, as they are almost a guarantee again to make us money this week. And I think they have to DNF for that to not happen. And, I'd like to think that we're safe this weekend here in Japan. Nico Hülkenberg's almost another must-have if you were looking to build value. He has set himself up incredibly well at the start of the season. And again, if he doesn't DNF, he's most likely going to gain us some money. And the last driver spot with 13 million left is most likely going to be Lance Stroll. Again, he has had a fantastic start to the year. I never thought I would see him on my squad or be so confident to have him in that seat. But this is the way it's looking right now. So this is probably what I'm going to lock in going into the race weekend. Again, we're going to wait for FP3 to finish before we make any decisions because things can happen. But other chips to consider this weekend would be using your no negative. There's a 50% chance it might rain on Sunday. And if you saw what happened in Australia, it's basically a free-for-all. And if you are stacked with rookie drivers, well, you're most likely going to be pretty worried because it can be disastrous to your outcome. So something to consider would be using that chip. It basically protects yourself from the no negatives. It doesn't protect yourself from price increase or decrease, but it would protect your score. So if you have any questions, please drop them in the comments below, and please share your team builds. I'd be happy to have a look at them. More than anything, good luck, and let's get back to the video.
I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe. It would mean the world to us.
Hey, Sean, we're in Japan.